Remember when students were creeped out by a montage of creepy Joe Biden groping various women? How interesting is it that the leading Democrat contender actually does the inappropriate things that Trump is merely accused of saying? I'm Dr. Duke, she's Katie, and this is the Groping Joe Dr. Duke Show. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show, the only program that keeps you educated on the gropey craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. Today, we're talking about everyone's favorite congresswoman from New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, rich Corinthian leather, who is on a video showing just how big of a hypocrite she is when it comes to education and charter schools. Plus, Illinois, affirming an inclusive school task force, yes, that's a real thing, is calling for all prom kings and queens to be dethroned and degendered. But we start on the college campus where, in the age of #MeToo and Believe All Women, students are not taking too kindly to creepy old Joe groping the ladies. With a little glass of Courvoisier, right? He is the ladies' man. Smells like teen spirit.
So about 1 year ago, back in April 2019, so long ago, Cabot Phillips of Campus Reform went to the University of Iowa, and he showed students on that campus some footage of Joe Biden touching women and girls, and he got their reaction.
So I'm going to play the video for you guys, and I want to see if you guys think it's harmless or if you think that it's inappropriate.
Ew, oh my.
Oh no.
He's very close to them. That's really creepy.
Yeah, ew.
I do think it's probably something that people are gonna think about just with like everything that's been going on with like Me Too movement and things like that.
Stuff like this could definitely have an impact on the presidential election.
Got it. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Yeah, I would agree, especially like if it keeps like coming back up and doesn't blow over, it'll definitely be a game changer.
Okay.
You know, what should we do about this? And maybe their first step will be like not wanting to vote for him.
I feel like it's shocking enough that it can affect his chances.
Yeah, now that Joe is, for all intents and purposes, the nominee, it's time to remind America just who he is. And what a wonderful place to start in college campuses. Can I just point out that we really ought to ban sitting cross-legged on the quad in the name of Indian solidarity?
Well, we could do that. We can also ban calling it the quad. No one calls it the quad anymore.
Yeah, that's right. That's too geometrical.
It
and we
is.
know that's a holdover of white supremacy. But did you see the body language? I don't know what was worse. The body language on the kids and young women who were grimacing under Joe's paws, or the college-age girls who were watching the girls be pawed. This is the guy, this is what blows me away about you hypocrite Democrats. You say that Donald Trump is, because he once apparently said, grab him by the blank, right? We don't have any evidence that he actually went around grabbing girls by the blank. There are no lawsuits, there's no bimbo eruptions, no team of angry women from Arkansas after Donald Trump.
Arkansas?
So Donald Trump is accused of saying something that was distasteful. Joe's doing it. He may not be grabbing him by the blank, but boy, does he got his paws all over those girls. Think about race. Donald Trump is a racist because of one deceptively edited video from Charlotte, right? That's the only thing we got on him. In the 90s, he was getting NAACP awards in New York. So Trump's a racist, but then he got video of Joe Biden talking about how you can't walk into a 7-Eleven without meeting Indian people, right? Or we're going to put them in chains. We're going to put them all in chains with his fake black accent. Or what's the other one we come? There's others as well, right?
Well, there's too many examples.
Gaffes of him. How about when he called Barack Obama a clean, articulate candidate, as opposed to the other unclean, illiterate black people? So Trump's the racist. But who are the Democrats putting up against him? An actual racist. You could go down the list of this.
And back to what these girls were seeing, the touching, the groping, the hands all over. And you can say, oh, well, he's just a nice old man.
As Alyssa Milano, feminist, said, yes, right?
Exactly. But Joe continues to do this. Look at the newest video of him actually sniffing a young boy.
You know, this is the first set of video clips that make me actually somewhat sympathetic to drag queen story hour in libraries. I think I'd rather have some 5 o'clock shadow dude in a wig and a thong reading to my kid than to have Joe Biden sniffing them.
Well, yeah, at least there's a little bit of distance.
There's something going on there.
Joe will not just won't release. He needs to back away. Well, he needs to get out of politics altogether, but he just needs to back away from all the people. It's coronavirus time. He should just stay away from everyone.
How about remember when we've heard for 4 years how Donald Trump is non-compos mentis? He is not until his brain is rotted.
Clearly, yeah.
He actually took a test. He actually took a cognitive test to demonstrate the proof that he wasn't and aced it. Meanwhile, so Donald Trump is considered non-compos mentis, and yet you got Biden, who can't remember his daughter from his wife, who doesn't know what state he's in, doesn't even remember what office he's running for. No one else, America, has made this point, and I'm making it. This is copyright TM Pesta, right? Everything the Democrats say they hate about Trump, every slur they've hurled at him, can be traced to the actual behavior of Joe Biden. And not a one of those Democrats actually sees the irony of this.
They don't know what irony means.
No charge. No extra charge for non-educational input.
All right, well, we're going to get some educational input here at Northwestern University, where the climate activists were all in a tizzy, and so they decided to shut down a major intersection because they didn't get their way regarding the school's rejection of a proposal to completely divest from the top 100 oil and gas companies. So, school says, you know what? We're rejecting this proposal. We're going to keep these fossil fuels around. And so they say it was more than 60 protesters blocked an intersection. And per usual, they were all clamored together, had to be huddled together around one another.
Take a look at
and they had to yell.
This is what passes for a university protest. Take a look. Screaming for fossil fuel
has got to go.
Has got to go.
Ho, ho.
And the real story here is not the kids. The real story here is that for the second time now in the last couple of months, an administration of a major university has told kids to go piss off, right?
Pound salt.
Pound salt. A couple month ago, we did a story about Oxford University, where a group of smug British Oxford students came to one of the vice chancellors or something and demanded immediate divestment from fossil fuels. The chancellor, whoever he was, I forget his rank, but the vice chancellor said to them, I can't do that. But what I can do right now, I get that you're really serious about this. What I can do right now is shut off the heat to your dorm rooms. And guess what happened? They weren't buying it. The protesters didn't want it. And now you have an American university, Northwestern, that's as snooty as they come, telling a group of Chicago student protesters, hey, not going to do it. Is this the beginning of a movement? Is there beginning to bud a pair of testicles amongst our university administration? Although I will say this. You know how much money the endowments of universities make off of fossil fuels, especially that we're given that America is now a net exporter of fossil fuels, that America is leading the world in energy production. These universities are raking it in hand and fist from their investments in fossil fuels. So what the real lesson here is that when liberal values get in the way of the bottom line for universities, the Marxist universities, they'll stand up to the kids.
Interesting how that works. Well, the official group name is the Fossil Free Northwestern, the FFN. They're the ones who put this on. At one point, they also were chanting, disclose, divest, or this will be our death, as they stood in the middle of an intersection. But the climate change is going to be our death.
Yeah, they're standing there in a crosswalk. And they're actually arguing they're going to die. So, and by the way, what a great way to fight climate change then in the middle of busy traffic Chicago, to actually stop cars and let them idle for 30 minutes. Isn't that nice, right? On the other side of those bikes, nobody can get by. And so consequently, what do you have? You have a situation where cars that otherwise would drive and stop are now just idling and toxicifying the environment, right? All for show. It reminds me like when it was at Cambridge, where they dug up, or was it Oxford? Remember they dug up a garden, they dug up all the grass.
It looked awful after they just made these big old holes everywhere.
To protest climate change, they destroyed an otherwise viable, perfectly manicured lawn.
Yep.
Staggering.
All right, well, one more thing, just so everyone's aware, this FFN group has been going and doing all their business around the university because on February 13th, it was the Global Divestment Day. Because, we have a day for everything. And on that day, they had a die-in, which means they all just laid down and pretended they were dead. And they also had a teach-in. And they called for the board. They specifically want to divest about $50 million.
Again, I go back to what the Oxford chancellor, whoever he was, just said. Why don't you demonstrate your bona fides first by living without it? Let's turn off your lights. Let's turn off your heat, right? Let's serve you only uncooked food, right? Let's do these things. You guys lead. Let the suffering be yours. People would be much more impressed with you if you were willing to suffer to your cause. People have engaged in hunger strikes to protest things, right? You can't even go 20 minutes without the lights on or without the heat coming into your little womb. So the bottom line is that nobody takes you seriously. You're a joke. Your own liberal woke university just told you to go pound salt. So huddle as much as you want to. And by the way, how about taking those huddles, all 60 people huddling together, take them inside the dorm rooms to keep warm and turn the heat off.
There you go.
Instead of standing
Body
outside
heat,
and huddling,
warmth, it works.
It's a double win. The cars get to drive without idling. You can go into your freezing cold dorm rooms and huddle there.
And all be contained. We can shut the door behind them. Brilliant idea, I guess. Well, they're going to be huddling around their favorite, the one, the only, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Rich Corinthian leather. We have to say that every time we hear her name. So pretentious. Just picture Ricardo Montalban, right? In an all-white leisure suit, standing there with a glass of wine. And every time Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez comes up, he looks Joe Biden-like. He looks into the cameras and said, rich Corinthian leather.
Okay. Well, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, the Green New Deal, she is also a hypocrite when it comes to things such as education. Let's take a look at a video she made and put out on Facebook Live back in 2017.
Yeah, this area is like a lot of where my family is from. My goddaughter, I got her into a charter school, like maybe a block or two down.
Little Miss, charter schools have got to go. Little Miss, only the public can run the public schools. Only the state can educate our kids. Got her little godchild into a charter school. This is so wonderful, isn't it? Betsy DeVos. Tell us what Betsy DeVos said.
So when this happened, that was back in 2017 before AOC was in office, but it was kind of just uncovered by Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, who called out AOC, saying how nice that AOC claims to have helped her goddaughter get into a public charter school. It's a shame she works to deny that opportunity to every other disadvantaged family in America. Good for me, but not for thee, indeed.
The thing about Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez... Translation? Rich Corinthian leather. The problem with Cortez is that she's an idiot. She is a bona fide idiot with very little self-awareness, right? She believes that wearing her political ideology on her sleeve gives her depth and intelligence and maturity. It doesn't. Having said that, I've got to point something out to you, Ms. DeVos. I am really glad that you called out the hypocrisy of AOC. I'm really glad of the fact that you exposed her hypocrisy when it comes to charter schools. But may I actually point something out to you, Betsy DeVos? You are in charge of American public schools. The fact is that they're broken. Fix them. I mean, okay, the answer is not to take kids out of public schools and stick them in charter schools. You are not in charge of charter. You are not making money. You're not in charge of charter schools. You're in charge of American public schools. So the question I have for you, Ms. DeVos, is why aren't you fixing the public schools? Why are you worried about the attendance or the enrollments in private schools? Why is your entire platform getting kids out of the public schools? Why are you in charge of public schools if the only answer you have is to get kids out of them? Why don't you fix them? Why don't you play the game the Democrats play? We got Common Core because the Department of Education basically uses federal dollars to bribe the states to take Common Core sight unseen. Why can't you do the opposite? Why can't you say, okay, states of America, you want to teach sex education to kids younger than high school age? You can do it. There's local control, but you get no money from us. How about that, Betsy? What if you did that? I'll bet you all of these eager states that want to teach transgenderism and anal intercourse to your elementary school kids, I'll bet you if you said to them, you have every right to do that as a school district in Kansas. You, Nebraska, if the Nebraska state schools want to teach inappropriate sex to 5-year-olds, you have every right to do that. However, we will give you no money for it. If you played the same game as the left, trust me, they would give up putting condoms on cucumbers in kindergarten after nap time, and they would follow. That's how the left wins. I got to ask you rhetorically one more time, Ms. DeVos, what are you doing if your only solution to the broken public schools is for kids to leave them? Go run a ring of charter schools. Go open the Betsy DeVos schools of charter all across the country. And let's get somebody in the damn position who's going to fix the problem.
Dr. Duke Pesta for Secretary of Education, where he will promptly lose his own job. He will get himself out of his own job.
Rich Corinthian leather.
All right, well, if he's done doing that, then he can go to Illinois and be on this task force that Illinois created called the Affirming and Inclusive Schools Task Force. It sounds like a superhero name.
Yeah, so you've got a task force, which means that it's a force.
It's a force.
Number one. Number two, it's not elected.
Nope.
Parents have no say in it. Taxpayers who pay for these schools are completely cut out of it, right? And what is the purpose of this task force? The purpose of this task force is to basically completely transform every aspect of American public schools so as to cater to one very tiny part of it, the transgender community.
So they released a 44-page report that is called Strengthening Inclusion in Illinois Schools. And one of the things that they have in there is they say that school districts across the entire state of Illinois should eliminate or reframe any school tradition or gender-based activity that is not gender neutral. For example, replacing prom king and queen with prom royalty, or by providing school awards to any set of 2 students instead of best male/female.
And this may sound like the stupid things that they do in blue states like Illinois, but this will come to your school. Once they establish norms to make a tiny percentage of every school the focus of every school, because that's what they're doing. They are ignoring your kids, they are minimalizing, they are erasing your boys and girls. Their gender, mom and dad, is being eradicated right before your eyes. And they're doing it without consulting you. You think this is a joke in the sense that, oh, that's Illinois, or prom king and prom royalty. Royalty is such a classist word anyway. How about some of the other things? From the 44-page report, quote, transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming students shall be allowed use of restrooms, locker rooms, and changing facilities that correspond with their gender identity. That means that whatever they say they are, they'll do, right? Nothing you can do about it. How about this one? All Illinois schools must adopt a gender-neutral dress code. That means if your girls show up in skirts, they will be told to leave because skirts are specifically female forms of dress. Gender-neutral dress codes. How soon before they start dressing your kids in public school like Star Trek characters?
Some of those kids might actually enjoy that.
They might enjoy that, right?
But what's going to happen is it's going to be okay that the gender-neutral dress code will be fine as long as it's a boy wearing that skirt. Then the skirt will be allowed.
But that's the point. The boy wearing the skirt is progressive.
Exactly.
The girl wearing the trousers with the leather wallet and the chain
is 1952.
That is actually considered very transgressive. But to have the girl in the skirt and the boy in the pants will never do.
All right. Well,
and notice what they're doing. They're not making it gender neutral. They are destroying those people who made the mistake of being too timorous and decided to identify with their own biological gender. Those are the ones who have to pay these prices.
All right, so we're talking, dress and what's going to happen at the dances and that, but within the actual curriculum and academic settings, such as the school libraries, here's what's going to happen. The school library shall include accurate and up-to-date information on gender identity and diversity, as well as gender-affirming children's books, young adult fiction, nonfiction, and multimedia. Which means drag queens are just going to be sitting in the corner waiting until the bell rings for them to do another show. The bell is going to now be their cue.
The bell tolls for thee, drag queen.
There it is.
How about one of the most alarming ones? Quote, eliminate the use of all gendered language. They are going to eliminate from all Illinois public schools, and then America's, because this is what's going to happen. The country is not going to rebel and tell Illinois to knock it off. Illinois and California and Massachusetts and Washington and Oregon are going to tell America, do it this way or we won't send any of our administrative staff to your states. But understand what they told you here. All gendered programs will have to go, pronouns will have to go. All gendered images will have to go. All words that aren't sufficiently gender neutral will have to be removed. This is an Orwellian order here, that the very usage of any word, not just pronouns, any word like mankind, but then how soon do they come after humanity, which has the word man in it? Do we have to ban the word women?
Yes.
Because it contains the word men?
That's
Or
because now that's why
spell it with a Y, right?
Or with an X.
Or an X. And so what they're doing, Mom and Dad, is they are completely by fiat, by dictatorial, oppressive fiat, they're changing language to benefit a incredibly small group of kids at the expense of everybody else.
And if that's not depressing enough, just know that it's only Wednesday and we have a half week yet to go. But if you like this show, please help us keep others educated by sharing this episode with your family and friends on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Parler. Or really any other way you can get this information out.
So we're currently in the midst of our first week of open enrollment at our school, Freedom Project Academy. I can promise you, if you come to our school, Freedom Project, there will be no bathrooms. There is no gender confusion. We will not do away with any language because it's biologically rooted in fact. We will not put drag queens in your kindergarten class. We will not fill your library shelves with stupid transgender books. We will give your kids a classical Christian education, period. If you're sick and tired of the constant craziness taking place in the schools, take a look at FPA's fully accredited Judeo-Christian online school. Real teachers teaching in real time through the computer to you. Our teachers make up the assignments. Our teachers do all the grading. Our teachers assign the grades. You get a high school diploma from Freedom Project. It will get you into any college in this country. We are fully accredited. Imagine being able to educate your kids away from the dangers of coronavirus, away from the even greater danger of your middle and high school teachers, get you away from all that sex ed, get you away from the endless political correctness and ideological intolerance of the public schools. For more information, request a free packet. It's free at freedomforschool.com. That's freedomforschool.com. For Freedom Project, I'm Dr. Duke. She's Katie. And until next time, for God's sake, don't let them take your pronouns.